A homeless girl returned a billionaire's lost wallet. What he did next shocked everyone. The wallet contained $43,000 in cash, 12 credit cards, and access to a fortune worth $3 billion. The girl who found it was 16 years old, homeless, and hadn't eaten a proper meal in 3 days. She returned every penny. What happened next wasn't a fairy tale. It was something far more complicated, far more real, and ultimately far more meaningful than any rags to riches story you've heard before. I'm Marcus Chen, and I'm the billionaire whose wallet she returned. This is the true story of what happened, not the sanitized version the media told, not the heartwarming viral video that made the rounds on social media, but the real, messy, difficult truth about what it means to try to help someone, and what it costs both the helper and the helped. It started on a Tuesday morning in October, 3 years ago. I was running late for a board meeting, unusual for me since I'm obsessive about punctuality. But my driver had called in sick, and I decided to take the subway from my penthouse to my office in downtown Manhattan. Big mistake. I'm not good with the subway. I grew up poor, truly poor, sleeping in a car poor, but that was 40 years ago. I'd built Chen Technologies from nothing into a global empire, and somewhere along the way, I'd forgotten how to navigate public transportation. I was fumbling with the MetroCard machine when my phone rang. My CFO, panicking about the quarterly earnings call. I pulled out my phone, my briefcase, my coffee, juggling too many things at once. At some point during that chaos, my wallet fell out of my jacket pocket. I didn't notice. I made the meeting with 2 minutes to spare, gave my presentation, handled the Q&A, and spent the rest of the day in back-to-back meetings. It wasn't until 7 p.m. when I tried to pay for dinner with a client that I realized the wallet was gone. The panic was immediate and visceral, not because of the cash. $43,000 is a rounding error in my budget. Not even because of the credit cards, those could be canceled, but because that wallet contained something irreplaceable, a photo of my daughter who died 20 years ago. The only photo I carried with me. The one thing that made me feel connected to her memory every day. Lily had been 7 when she died of leukemia. My only child. The reason I started the Chen Foundation, which funds pediatric cancer research. The reason I worked so obsessively, because work was easier than grief, easier than coming home to an empty penthouse and remembering the daughter I couldn't save. That photo was the last one taken before she got sick. Lily laughing, holding an ice cream cone, completely unaware that in 6 months she'd be gone. I canceled the credit cards immediately, called my assistant to put a stop on everything, but the photo was irreplaceable. I didn't sleep that night. I kept thinking about that picture in some trash can, or thrown away by whoever found the wallet, or destroyed by rain. The next morning, my assistant told me someone had called, a girl claiming she'd found my wallet. She wants to return it, my assistant said, sounding surprised. All of it. She says everything's there. She won't give her name or contact information, just asked where she could return it. Tell her to bring it to the office. I'll meet with her personally. She arrived at 2 p.m. Security called up to warn me, Mr. Chen, there's a situation. The girl who claims she has your wallet, she's, not exactly dressed for the building. I went down to the lobby myself, impatient, desperate to get that photo back. That's where I first saw her. She was tiny, maybe 5'2", dangerously thin, wearing clothes that had clearly been worn for weeks without washing. Her hair was matted, her face dirty. She clutched a backpack that looked like it contained everything she owned, which it probably did. She was also clearly terrified, surrounded by security guards in the marble lobby of one of the most expensive buildings in Manhattan, looking like she expected to be arrested at any moment. Our eyes met across the lobby. She was just a kid, 16, maybe 17, and she was holding my wallet. I walked toward her and she flinched. Actually flinched like she thought I might hit her. "Are you Mr. Chen?" Her voice was quiet, uncertain. "I am. You found my wallet." She held it out with shaking hands. I took it, opened it. Everything was there. All the cash, all the cards, and most importantly, the photo of Lily safely tucked in the clear plastic sleeve. The relief that flooded through me was overwhelming. I actually had to take a moment to steady myself. "Everything's there?" I asked, already knowing the answer. "Yes, sir. I didn't take anything. I promise. I found it at the subway station yesterday morning. I wanted to return it right away, but I couldn't find your office address, and I don't have a phone, so I had to wait until the library opened this morning to look up your company. And then I had to walk here because I don't have subway fare and—" She was rambling, nervous, clearly expecting me to accuse her of something. "You walked from where?" Brooklyn, the shelter where I've been staying." Brooklyn to Manhattan. That was at least 8 miles. She'd walked 8 miles to return my wallet. I looked at her more closely. She wasn't just thin, she was starving. Her skin had that grayish pallor that comes from malnutrition. Her lips were chapped and bleeding. Her fingernails were broken and dirty. "What's your name?" I asked. Riley Martinez." "Riley, you walked 8 miles to return this wallet. You haven't eaten today, have you?" She looked down. "I'm fine." "That's not what I asked." "I know, sir, but I'm fine, really. I just wanted to make sure you got your wallet back. I should go now." She turned to leave, and something in me, some instinct I couldn't quite name, made me stop her. "Wait, have you had lunch?" She turned back, confused. "What? Lunch? Have you eaten lunch?" "I know, but—" "Come with me, please. Let me at least buy you a meal as a thank you." She looked at me suspiciously. "Why?" "Because you just walked 8 miles to return something that most people would have kept. Because you're clearly starving. Because—" I paused, surprised by my own emotion. "Because my daughter would have been about your age if she'd lived, and I'd like to think someone would have fed her if she needed it." Something shifted in Riley's face. The suspicion softened slightly. "Just lunch," I said. "No strings attached. You eat, I thank you properly, and then you go on your way. Deal?" After a long moment, she nodded. We went to a restaurant 3 blocks away, nothing fancy, just a diner. Riley ordered carefully, picking the cheapest items on the menu. I told the waiter to bring one of everything. "Sir, I can't." "You can, and you will. You returned $43,000. The least I can do is feed you." When the food arrived, Riley ate like someone who hadn't seen a meal in days, which she probably hadn't. She tried to pace herself, maintain dignity, but hunger won out. She demolished 2 burgers, fries, a salad, and 3 sodas in 20 minutes. I watched her eat and felt my heart break. This was somebody's daughter, some parent's child, out on the streets, starving. "Riley, can I ask you something?" She looked up, wary. "Okay. How long have you been homeless?" She put down her burger. 8 months. "What happened? Does it matter?" "It matters to me." She was quiet for a long time. Then, "My mom died 2 years ago, cancer. We didn't have insurance. The bills destroyed us. After she died, I lived with her boyfriend for a while, but he wasn't a good person, so I left. Ended up in foster care, but that wasn't safe either, so I left again. Been on the streets since January." "You have no other family?" "My dad left when I was 3. Mom's parents are dead. No siblings, it's just me." "What about school?" "I dropped out. Hard to do homework when you're sleeping in subway stations." I thought about Lily, about how I'd have burned the world down to protect her, about how this girl had no one to protect her. "How old are you?" 16, almost 17. 16, still legally a child, living on the streets of New York City with no one looking out for her. "Riley, I want to help you. I don't need charity." It's not charity. You did something remarkable today. You could have kept that wallet, taken the cash, sold the credit cards. You'd have had enough money for months of food and shelter, but you didn't. You walked 8 miles to return it. That kind of integrity, it's rare, and it shouldn't go unrewarded. I don't want a reward. I just did the right thing. I know, that's exactly why I want to help. I pulled out my phone. I'm going to make some calls, get you into a good shelter, a safe place, help you get back into school, get you the support you need to. No, Riley stood up abruptly. Thank you for lunch, Mr. Chen, but I don't need you to save me. I've survived this long on my own. I'll keep surviving. Riley, I should go. Thank you for the meal. She grabbed her backpack and headed for the door. I threw cash on the table and followed her out to the street. Riley, wait, please. She turned and I saw tears in her eyes. Mr. Chen, I appreciate what you're trying to do, but I've learned not to trust people who want to help, because help always comes with strings. It always costs something, and I can't afford the price anymore. What if there were no strings? What if I just helped? There are always strings. You're a billionaire. You don't do anything without expecting something back. That's how rich people stay rich. Her words stung because there was truth in them. In business, everything was transactional. Every investment had an expected return. But this wasn't business. This was about a kid who reminded me of my daughter, a kid who'd done the right thing when it would have been so easy to do the wrong thing. 1 month, I said. Give me 1 month to prove you wrong. Let me help you, safe housing, food, getting back into school. No strings, no expectations, just help. If after a month you want to leave, you leave. No questions asked. But give me a chance to show you that not everyone wants something in return. Riley looked at me for a long moment. I could see her weighing it, calculating the risks, trying to figure out my angle. Why do you care? She asked finally. Because my daughter died when she was 7. Because I have more money than I could spend in 10 lifetimes, but it couldn't save her. Because helping you might be the one meaningful thing I do with all this wealth. Because you did something good, and good things should happen to people who do good things. That's not how the world works. Maybe not, but maybe we can make it work that way, just this once. She was crying now, really crying. I don't have anything to give you back. I don't want anything back. I just want to help. Please let me help. After what felt like an eternity, Riley nodded. That's how it started. That was the moment when I thought I was going to save Riley Martinez's life with my money and my resources and my good intentions. I had no idea how complicated it would actually be. The first thing I did was call my assistant. I need you to find the best youth housing program in the city. Money is no object. Private rooms, safe, well run. I need placement by tonight. Tonight, sir. Tonight. Next, I called my personal physician. I need you to see a patient. 16-year-old girl, homeless for 8 months. Full physical, nutritional assessment, any medical care she needs. Bill me directly. Then I called the private school my daughter would have attended. I need enrollment for a student, mid-semester. She'll need financial aid, full scholarship, and tutoring to catch up on missed work. I made a dozen more calls. Clothing, toiletries, a phone, a laptop for schoolwork, everything a teenager needed to rebuild her life. Within 6 hours, Riley was set up in a safe, clean residence for homeless youth in Manhattan. Private room, 3 meals a day, counseling services on site. She had new clothes, school supplies, and an enrollment packet for one of the best private schools in the city. I felt good about myself, like I'd done something meaningful, like I'd changed a life. I was naive. The problem started almost immediately. Riley couldn't adjust to the housing program. She'd been on the streets for 8 months, living in survival mode, trusting no one. Suddenly being in a structured environment with rules and curfews and expectations, it was too much. She got in fights with other residents, broke curfew repeatedly. The program directors called me within 2 weeks. Mr. Chen, Riley is struggling. She's not following rules. She's aggressive with staff. We're concerned this placement isn't working. I visited her, found her sitting in her room staring at the wall. What's wrong? I asked. This isn't real, she said. None of this is real. It's going to disappear. Everything always disappears. It's not going to disappear. Yes, it will. That's how it works. People promise things and then they leave, or they die, or they hurt you. Nothing good stays. Riley, you're going to get tired of this. You're going to realize I'm too much work, too broken, not worth the investment. And then you'll leave too. So why should I bother trying? Why should I believe any of this is permanent? I didn't have a good answer, because she was right. I didn't understand what she'd been through. I couldn't promise that everything would be okay because I didn't know if it would be. School was even worse. Riley enrolled at the private school I'd arranged, but she was years behind academically. She'd missed months of education. She couldn't keep up with the coursework. Other students, wealthy kids from privileged families, looked down on her. Teachers didn't know how to help someone with her background. Within a month, she'd stopped going to classes. I don't belong there, she told me when I confronted her. Everyone knows I'm the charity case. Everyone knows you're paying for me to be there. It's humiliating. Education is the way out. Education is for people who have the luxury of thinking about the future. I'm just trying to survive today. She was angry at me, at the situation, at life, and I didn't know how to help her. The physician's report was devastating. Riley was severely malnourished, anemic, vitamin deficient. She had untreated dental problems, chronic pain from sleeping on concrete, trauma symptoms consistent with PTSD. She needs extensive treatment, the doctor told me. Medical, dental, psychological. This isn't going to be fixed quickly or easily. I paid for everything, specialists, therapy, treatment, but Riley resisted it all. I'm not broken, she'd insist. No one said you're broken, but you've been through trauma. You need support. I need people to stop treating me like a project, like something that needs to be fixed. I'm not your dead daughter, Mr. Chen. I'm not a replacement for whatever you lost. I'm just a person who made the mistake of returning your wallet. That hurt, not because it was mean, but because there was truth in it. Was I trying to replace Lily? Was I projecting my grief onto this girl? I didn't know anymore. 3 months in, things came to a head. Riley ran away from the housing program, just disappeared one night, taking her few belongings and vanishing into the city. I was frantic. I hired private investigators, searched homeless shelters, put out alerts with advocacy groups. For 2 weeks I heard nothing. Then she called, from a payphone somewhere in Brooklyn. I can't do this, she said. Your way of helping, it's too much. The expectations, the structure, the feeling like I owe you something. I'd rather be homeless than feel like this. Riley, you don't owe me anything. Yes, I do. You've spent thousands of dollars on me. Tens of thousands. Housing, school, medical care, clothes, food. How can I not owe you? How can I ever pay that back? You don't have to pay it back. But I feel like I do. That's the problem. Every time someone helps me, there's a cost. Always. And I can't afford the cost anymore. What cost? What do you think I want from you? I don't know. That's what makes it worse. If you wanted something specific, money, gratitude, whatever, I could handle that. But you just keep giving without explaining why, and it makes me feel like I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like eventually you'll tell me what you really want, what this has all been leading to. I was quiet, thinking. She was right. I'd been so focused on solving her problems with my resources that I hadn't stopped to ask what she actually needed. Riley, come meet me. Let's talk, just talk. No expectations, no plans, just conversation. Why should I trust you? Because in 3 months of trying to help you, I've never once demanded anything from you. Because I haven't given up. Because I'm asking, not telling. Silence, then where? We met at the same diner where we'd had lunch 3 months earlier. Riley looked worse, thinner, more exhausted, like the 2 weeks back on the streets had drained whatever progress she'd made. "I'm listening," I said when she sat down. "Tell me what you need, not what I think you need, what you actually need." Riley picked at her food, not eating. "I need people to stop trying to save me." "Okay." "I need to not feel like a charity project." "Okay." "I need," she paused, struggling. "I need to feel like I have control over my own life, like I'm making choices, not having choices made for me." "That's fair. I'm sorry I didn't see that before." "You set up all this stuff, the housing, the school, the doctors. You didn't ask me what I wanted. You just decided what was best and made it happen. And I'm sure you had good intentions, but it made me feel powerless, like I was just being moved around on your chessboard." She was absolutely right. I'd done exactly what I always did in business: identified a problem, allocated resources, implemented a solution. Efficient, effective. Completely wrong for a traumatized teenager who needed agency, not charity. "You're right," I said. "I approached this all wrong. I treated you like a problem to solve instead of a person with your own thoughts and needs. I'm sorry." Riley looked surprised. "You're apologizing." I messed up. I wanted to help, but I went about it the wrong way." I paused. "Riley, can we start over? Can we try this differently?" "How?" "You tell me what you want, what would actually help, and I provide resources to make it happen, but you're in charge. You make the decisions, I'm just support. Does that make sense?" Riley was quiet for a long time. "I don't know what I want. That's the problem. I've been in survival mode for so long, I don't know how to think about anything else." "Then let's start small. What do you want today, right now?" "I want," she looked around the diner, "I want to eat breakfast without worrying about where my next meal is coming from. I want to sleep somewhere safe. I want to not feel like I'm drowning all the time." "Okay, let's make that happen. You choose where you want to stay: group home, independent apartment, whatever feels safest to you. You decide if you want to go back to school or get your GED or take time off education entirely. You choose what kind of support you need. I provide the resources, but you're in control. And if I make bad choices, then you make bad choices. They're yours to make. I'll offer advice if you want it, but I won't force anything." Why would you do this? Keep helping even though I keep pushing you away?" I thought about Lily, about the daughter I couldn't save, about the guilt I'd carried for 20 years, the feeling that my wealth and success hadn't mattered when it counted most. "Because you did something good," I said honestly, "and because I have the resources to help, and not using them to do good feels like a waste. And yes, because helping you helps me process my own grief. But mostly, because you deserve better than what life has given you so far, and I have the power to make that happen." That's not a good enough reason to turn your life upside down for a stranger. "Maybe not, but it's my reason, and you don't have to accept my help. You can walk away right now and I won't follow, but if you're willing to try again on your terms this time, I'm here." Riley cried, real messy, ugly crying. "I don't know how to accept help. I don't know how to trust people. I'm so tired of fighting, but I don't know how to stop." "Then don't stop. Fight when you need to fight. Be angry when you need to be angry. Push back when things don't feel right. But let me be here, in whatever capacity you'll allow. I'm going to disappoint you. I survived the death of my only child. I think I can handle disappointment." That conversation was the turning point. Not because everything got easier, it didn't, but because we'd finally established a foundation of honest communication. Riley chose to try a different living situation, a transitional housing program for older teens that offered more independence. She had her own small apartment, but with support staff available if needed. She decided to get her GED instead of going back to traditional school. "I can't handle the social pressure of high school," she explained. But I do want to finish my education. I hired a private tutor who specialized in working with trauma survivors. Someone patient, understanding, who let Riley work at her own pace. Riley started therapy, not because I insisted, but because she asked for it. I need to talk to someone who isn't you, she said. Someone who doesn't have a stake in whether I succeed or fail. Progress was slow. There were setbacks. Riley missed appointments, broke promises, disappeared for days when things got overwhelming. Each time I didn't chase her. I just let her know I was there when she was ready. After 6 months of this new approach, Riley told me something that shifted everything. I've been thinking about college. Yeah, not now, but maybe in a couple years. After I get my GED and work for a while. After I feel more stable. But yeah, maybe college. It was the first time I'd heard her talk about the future in a way that wasn't just survival. What would you want to study? Social work, maybe. Helping other kids like me. People who understand what it's like to be where I've been. That's a great goal. I know you'd pay for it, college. You'd write the check tomorrow if I asked. I would. I don't want that. I want to do it myself. Pay my own way. Apply for scholarships, get student loans, work part-time. I need to know I did it on my own. I understand. But maybe you could help me figure out the process. The applications and financial aid and all that confusing stuff. Not do it for me, but help me navigate it. I'd be honored. That was the moment I realized Riley was going to be okay. Not because of my money or my resources, but because she'd found her own reasons to keep going. She'd found hope for a future beyond just surviving each day. It's been 3 years since Riley returned my wallet. 3 years of ups and downs, progress and setbacks, learning and growing for both of us. Riley got her GED 18 months ago, top scores in her district. She's been working part-time at a nonprofit that serves homeless youth, using her experience to help others. She's saving money for college, which she plans to start next fall. She's healthy now, proper weight, medical issues addressed, therapy helping her process trauma. She has friends, hobbies, plans for the future. She smiles sometimes, which she didn't do when I first met her. We see each other once a month for lunch at that same diner. Sometimes we talk about serious things, her progress, her challenges, her dreams. Sometimes we just talk about movies or books or whatever's happening in the world. She calls me Marcus now, not Mr. Chen. That shift happened about a year ago when she told me, "You're not my savior. You're not replacing my mom or being a surrogate parent. You're just Marcus, a person who helped me when I needed help. Is that okay?" "That's perfect," I'd said. Last month, Riley told me she'd been accepted to Columbia's social work program with a full scholarship. She'd done it herself. Applications, essays, interviews, financial aid. I'd just been there to answer questions and offer encouragement. "I couldn't have done this without you," she said. "But I also couldn't have done it if you tried to do it for me. I'm proud of you." I know, and that's weird, having someone be proud of me, but also kind of nice. She paused then. "Marcus, can I ask you something?" "Anything." "That photo in your wallet, your daughter, can you tell me about her?" I'd been waiting 3 years for her to ask. I pulled out my wallet, the same one Riley had returned, and showed her Lily's picture. Her name was Lily. She died of leukemia 20 years ago when she was 7. She was funny, smart, brave. She loved ice cream and books and her stuffed elephant. She fought so hard, but cancer doesn't care how hard you fight. "I'm sorry." "Me too. Losing her nearly destroyed me. I threw myself into work because it was easier than facing an empty house. I built an empire, made billions, funded cancer research, but nothing brought her back." "Is that why you helped me, because of her?" "Partly, but also because you deserved help. Those two things don't have to be mutually exclusive." Riley looked at Lily's photo for a long time. She was lucky to have you as a dad. I was lucky to have her, even if it was only for 7 years. Do you think, do you think she'd be okay with you helping me, with you spending all this time and money on a stranger? I think she'd be proud. Lily was kind. She cared about people. She'd have liked you. I wish I could have met her. Me too. We sat in silence for a while, two people bound together by loss and chance, and a wallet full of cash that never got stolen. People ask me sometimes about Riley, about the homeless girl who returned my wallet and what happened to her. The media loved the story when it first came out. Heartwarming tale of integrity rewarded. Billionaire saves homeless teen. Perfect feel-good content. But they got it wrong. I didn't save Riley. She saved herself. I provided resources, money, connections, opportunities, but Riley did the hard work. She fought through trauma, learned to trust again, chose to believe in a future. She could have given up 100 times. She could have taken the easy path, let me solve all her problems, live off my wealth, become dependent. Instead, she chose the harder path, independence, agency, self-determination. She used my support as a foundation, not a crutch. And in the process, she taught me something invaluable, that helping someone isn't about solving their problems for them. It's about giving them the tools and support to solve their own problems. It's about respecting their agency, listening to their needs, and being present without being controlling. I'd spent 20 years trying to fill the hole left by Lily's death with work, with money, with achievement. But helping Riley, really helping her. Not just throwing money at her problems, that filled the hole in a way nothing else had. Not because Riley replaced Lily, but because helping Riley meaningfully, respectfully, effectively, that honored Lily's memory in a way that just donating money never could. Last week was the 3-year anniversary of the day Riley returned my wallet. We met at the diner to celebrate. I got you something, Riley said, sliding an envelope across the table. Inside was a check for $43,000, the exact amount of cash that had been in my wallet. Riley, what? It's not charity, it's not a gift, it's a loan repayment. She looked at me seriously. I know you didn't loan me money, I know you gave it freely, but for 3 years you've invested in me, housing, education, medical care, support. I did the math. The total comes to way more than this, but this is a start. It's what I can afford to pay back right now. I don't want your money. I know, but I need to give it to you. I need to know I can pay my own way, that I'm not forever indebted to you. You were never indebted to me. I know that intellectually, but emotionally, I needed to do this, to prove to myself that I can, that I'm not the helpless, homeless girl anymore, that I can contribute, can pay back, can be an equal. I looked at the check, at Riley's determined face, at the pride in her eyes. Okay, I said, I'll accept this on one condition. What? I donate it to the homeless youth nonprofit where you work, in your name, so other kids like you can get help. Riley smiled, a real genuine smile. Deal. I took the check and put it in my wallet, the same wallet Riley had returned 3 years ago. You know what's funny, I said. That day you returned my wallet, I thought I was going to change your life with my money, write you a check, solve your problems, be the hero, classic billionaire fantasy. And instead, you changed my life. You taught me that money isn't the solution to everything, that sometimes the best help is just being present, that integrity matters more than wealth, that people need agency more than they need saving. So we both learned something. We did. Riley looked at me seriously. Marcus, I want you to know something. I'm grateful for everything you did. Not just the money and the resources, but the listening, the patience. The way you let me make mistakes and didn't give up on me. That's what mattered. That's what made the difference. You did the hard part. We both did. That's the point. It wasn't you saving me or me pulling myself up by my bootstraps. It was both of us working together, figuring it out as we went. That's what actually works. Is there a lesson in there for other billionaires? She laughed, probably, but they won't listen. Rich people never think they're the ones who need to learn. Ouch, but fair. You're different, though. You actually listened when I told you that you were doing it wrong. How many billionaires would have done that? Not many. Exactly. So maybe the lesson is, if you really want to help people, check your ego at the door. Be willing to be wrong. Be willing to learn. Be willing to step back and let the person you're helping take the lead. When did you get so wise? I've always been wise. I was just too busy surviving to show it. I'm writing this now, 3 years later, because the story that went viral, the heartwarming tale of the billionaire and the homeless girl, wasn't the real story. The real story is messier. It's about good intentions that weren't enough. It's about having to completely change my approach when my first instinct, throw money at the problem, failed. It's about learning that helping someone is harder and more complicated than I ever imagined. The real story is about a girl who had every reason to keep that $43,000 but didn't, who had every reason to give up on herself but didn't, who had every reason to take the easy path of dependence but chose the harder path of independence instead. The real story is about a billionaire who thought his money made him powerful, learning that the real power was in listening, in patience, in humility. People love the fairy tale version. Homeless girl returns wallet, billionaire rewards her virtue, everyone lives happily ever after. Simple, satisfying, complete. But life isn't a fairy tale. Riley isn't living happily ever after. She's living one day at a time, working hard, building a future step by difficult step. I'm not her savior. I'm just someone with resources who learned how to use them properly. And maybe that's the real lesson, that helping people isn't about grand gestures or big checks or feel-good viral videos. It's about showing up consistently, listening carefully, respecting agency, and being humble enough to admit when you're getting it wrong. Riley returned my wallet 3 years ago, but what she really returned was something I'd lost when Lily died, a sense of purpose beyond just accumulating wealth. A reminder that money is just a tool, and like any tool, it's only as good as the person using it. I built a $3 billion empire, but the most valuable thing I've done with that fortune wasn't funding cancer research or building tech companies. It was learning how to really help one 16-year-old girl who returned a wallet when she had every reason not to, and letting her teach me how to do it right. And that brings us to the end of Marcus and Riley's story, a tale not of simple charity, but of complex, difficult, real help. Their journey reminds us that money without wisdom is useless, that helping people requires humility, and that sometimes the person being helped teaches more than the person helping. What would you have done in Marcus's position? How do you help someone without taking away their agency? And what's the difference between charity that makes us feel good and help that actually works? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If this story moved you, please like and subscribe for more real stories about compassion, complexity, and what it truly means to help someone. Thank you for listening. Until next time, remember, anyone can write a check, but real help requires listening, learning, and the humility to admit when you're getting it wrong.